We're close enough.
February 27th, 2023, select board meeting. This meeting is being recorded.
Good evening and welcome to the select board meeting for the town of Southwick on Monday, February 27th, 2023. In attendance, myself, Russell S. Fox, Chairman, Vice Chairman Doug Moglen, Jason Perone, Chief Administrative Officer Carl J. Steinhardt is on Zoom. Assistant CAO Nadine Signoli is present. Administrative Assistant Robin Solak is present. Before we begin, if we could all stand and do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first thing on the agenda is public comments. This gives anybody that is not on the agenda an opportunity to make a statement to the select board. We're going to begin with people in the room first. I'd ask if you want to speak that you state your name and address for the record. I see a hand up. Go ahead.
Paul Delatorre, Southwick Greenhouse Incorporated. I'm here looking for a community host agreement that was in the works for some time now. I'm trying to find out where it stands with the select board. I have my assistant consulting with me.
Okay. Unfortunately, Paul, this isn't a back and forth. That you made your statement. We will look into it and find out where it is at this time. Okay. Is there anyone else under public comments? I see a hand over there.
Good evening, Inga Hoteling, 45 Pine Road. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to officially hand you, Russ, my application to become an appointed member of the Economic Development Commission. I've attended the past year, every meeting. I single-handedly did the first annual Taste of Southwick this year on Shop Small, Shop Local. Got 13 restaurants, 18 businesses. We had 627 entries that one day, that won gift certificates to our local restaurants. I'd like to be an official member. So I hope you accept my application.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in this room? I see no hands. We're going to Zoom. Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to make a public comment to the select board? No, none? Okay, then we are going to go to the first thing that I have on the agenda, and that is to interview candidates for the Southwick Housing Authority. This would be an appointment until May of this year to the annual town election. And I got Jason Grunwald and Jeff Turcott. We got Jeff here. I don't see Jason. Okay.
Different Jason.
Different Jason.
Check.
Well, we'll take Jeff.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jeff. And if you want to, just for your record, state, we have your information here, but if you want to just state your name and address for the record.
Sure, Jeff Turcott, 60 Miller Road. Currently also a member of our.
Capcom.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And you understand this is just an appointment for basically 2 months?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I've already spoken to Mr. Kelly over in Westfield, who runs the program over there.
Yeah.
Him and I had some interaction on the phone, just kind of getting some insight. I spoke to Robin here and she directed me over there. So I gave him a phone call and we had some conversations about the, what it involves, what it entails, because I honestly didn't know.
Okay.
Had been involved in local town government where I previous was in central Massachusetts as a town meeting member and so on and so forth. And I've been trying to get more actively committed in local town government.
Okay.
So saw this as an opportunity to move in that direction.
Okay. Would you be considering running for the
I
position?
believe so. Yeah. I think the paperwork has to be by March 21st. Is that the date I think I saw?
Yeah,
Either way,
that's-
but-
yeah,
Yeah.
we have partisans elections so that you
Correct.
could run in a partisan election or take out an independent paper.
Right.
One or the other.
Right.
Questions from the board?
Do you have any experience in this space that makes you
Um,
eminently qualified for the position?
I I don't know necessarily in the space. I mean, I have a vast business background, in economics and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
I think that's why it showed some interest, it piqued some interest within the opportunity. And again, and having spoken to Mr. Kelly in Westfield, from what his understanding is, explaining in a little more detail, it just more so was representative from here, from town.
Yeah.
To get involved with the placements. Oh, sorry, the placements are pretty much situated. They make all the decisions there. It's just as though that we have a representative here in town for the housing that we have to help manage it here in this town. So having an HR degree in people management and so on and so forth, and a background in economics, I figured I was close.
There you go.
I'll leave it at that.
All right.
Okay.
I think we're not gonna waste too much more of your time.
Okay. that's
I don't
fine.
know where the other candidate is. Everybody was notified. I know we postponed it because of a situation in the last meeting, but everybody was notified again? Okay. Well, we'll try to reach out to him and
Sure.
give him a fair shot at it
Fair enough.
and try to make a decision as quickly as possible. That's agreeable to the board. No objection. All right.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
You
Thank
know,
you for
we
your time.
appreciate your interest.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, let's knock off a couple of things really quick before our next scheduled thing. Now it's payables warrant number 2321B dated 2/21/2023 in the amount of $3,358,365.02. Need a motion to accept the open session minutes dated 2/15/23.
Doug Mogul will make a motion to accept the minutes for February 15th, 2023 as amended.
Need a second?
Seconded.
All right, roll call vote. Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye. Okay, could you pass out the executive session minutes dated 2/15/23? We got a copy for Nadine or no?
Indeed. 4 out tonight.
No, my bad.
Okay.
Sorry, Nadine.
We gotta watch them all the time, Nadine. Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Seconded. Roll call vote. Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye. We could pass them back. All right, there you go. Thank you, Tom. Okay, second reading of the professional conduct policy for employees. Everybody had a chance to review it again? Hasn't changed, right? Hasn't changed. If there's no questions or anything, a motion to approve,
So moved.
need a second? All right, roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye. Okay, and that can be added to the, worked with, Labor Council, Nadine, and,
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. It's going to go into the updated employee handbook.
all right,
Do we actually read it at some point?
yeah.
No, I mean, I get it. But do we read it in a meeting? Because this was the second reading. Is that for the Board of Select Board to read, or is it to be read in public so that people, I don't know the process.
Well, that's a good question. Mr. Steinhardt, I mean, is it online now or no?
I don't know. It might be inside the it might be inside your minutes. I mean, we can certainly include it in the copy of your minutes as an attachment, Mr. Chairman.
That's an excellent idea.
Okay. And then if we can get it up on website at some point. Once we've worked with Labor Council and everything, and as Mr. Mogan likes to say, all the yada, yada, yada. All right, next thing is to approve the recommendation of the pay for the poll workers. Recommended by Michelle Hill. She's looking to propose the following: clerks to $15 an hour, the warden to $18.50 an hour, the assistant warden to $18.25 an hour. And that's going from 1425, 1775, and 1725. Discussion or motion?
Doug Mogul, so moved.
Need a second?
Second, kids.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye. Okay. Next is to review the goals and objectives. That's something that we've been doing every week. I'm gonna put that off to the afterwards. So that we can knock off one more thing before we go to well, I take it back. We are at the appointed time. So next thing is to discuss the Southwick Police Department full-time career officer interview of David McClellan.
Dan McClellan.
Dan McClellan. Okay, strike David and we're going to Dan. Come on up,
You
Dan.
don't have a brother David, right, Gwen?
My uncle and grandfather are named David.
Oh, boy. Well, Dan, we're gonna do something very informal tonight.
Okay.
We don't have formal questions to ask you. Because we realize you are a full-time police officer in another community.
Yes, sir.
We realize that you've already been to the academy. And you've come with the recommendation of Chief Landis, is that correct?
Yeah,
Chief-
the staff as well.
And the staff as well. We have Lieutenant Banish in the back also. So I'm gonna ask the board if they have any questions or concerns.
Sergeant
What?
Crooker too.
Sergeant,
He's undercover.
and Sergeant Westcott,
And Officer Bridges.
Officer
Come on in,
Bridges,
gentlemen.
come on in, come on in. We want to recognize our police department here. tonight.
No pressure, Dan.
And, I apologize profusely,
Where's it done?
Sergeant Crocker.
We may need him.
All right. Like I said, Dan, we know you come with good recommendations and you are a full-time police officer. We did have a position that we filled and that individual has pulled her temporarily pulled back because and there's going to be a part-time officer. So that's why we have this open. So with that, Mr. Perone or Mr. Moglen, any questions or thoughts?
I was gonna make a young guy joke, like we need to check his ID. What?
But you're not going to.
No, not now. It's out
Okay,
there.
okay. Mr. Perone?
I commend him for wanting to be in the law enforcement career.
Yes. Yeah. And, okay, I'll ask the question. Where do you see yourself in the 5 years, in 10 years?
Honestly, I see myself being here for Southwick PD because I grew up here. Basically grew up up in Tolland. I've lived there my entire life. I went through the Southwick school system. I work for Beckett PD currently. And I've always wanted to be a police officer. I kind of learned why in the academy. And then kind of coming out of the academy, you kind of realize exactly where you want to be. And it kind of really has never changed from Southwick. So there's never been away from that.
Good. With that, I'll accept the motion to offer employment to
I think
not,
we-
not,
I got a couple
not
of-
David. Oh, you have the question now.
Yeah, I just wanted to give us a little background besides that. What more do we need to know about you, sir?
So I've been, let's see. So since I went through the Southwick school system, I've been a baseball player in for the high school. I went to college at Roger Williams University for 1 year and I transferred here over to Westfield State for their highly recommended criminal justice program. Graduated from there and went to the Reserve Academy. And then I became a police officer up in Tolland as well. And I've been there ever since. Since 2018, I actually was a varsity volunteer assistant for the baseball team of the high school. So I've been kind of involved with the kids up there and getting to know them and working over there.
Excellent, excellent.
When did you finish the full-time academy?
Full-time academy was just in December 30th.
Great. Now you got your motion.
All right,
Mr. Chairman.
to offer employment to Dan. And of course, again, Mr. Moglen's favorite with all the yada, yada, yadas attached. Is that correct, Mr. Steinhardt? He's
Yes, it
muted.
is, Mr. Chairman.
All right. All right. I have a motion. I need a second.
Will be seconded.
Roll call vote. Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Dan, congratulations. Welcome.
The two guys standing didn't clap. We all right over there? Oh, all right, check.
Good night, Sergeant Crocker.
Sir.
All right, 6:15.
These kids look like they're 12.
I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna go there. Cause I'm gonna open myself up to something I don't wanna open myself up to.
The same discussion with Mr. Bridges when he was in a few years ago too.
Yeah, but now look, it's a lot older now.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right, 6:15 Southwick Civic Fund, the War Memorial, and I see we have the commander from the American Legion here. Darcy, you want to come on up? Introduce yourself?
Folks, how you doing tonight? So the memorial, as you guys know, we've been working on that for a few years. We ran short on money in the fall. This young lady here kept pestering me to find something for her to help with. So the last thing we had left, which we couldn't really afford to do, was low voltage lighting on all the sidewalks. So the commander here was able to come up with some money, and she would like to donate this evening in regards to doing the low voltage lighting, which we will do as soon as it warms up. Provided you're okay with that. And that thing should be done.
Excellent.
Should be done.
Well, it looks beautiful. It looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, from what I understand, the only thing left is the lighting, and all of us over at the Post decided this is a really good use of our money for our veterans. I mean, that is our memorial. So we took a vote at our last meeting after waiting for the amount. So we finally got the amount. And we decided to write a check to the Southwick Civic Fund for $4,450
Wow.
for the lighting to be fixed. Finished, right? But it-
I would present it to Mr. Fox, and if we could take a picture real quick, I'd appreciate that.
We'll do it by the.
Right over. Yes, by the flag would be great. No, almost.
Hold on. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Darcy.
All right.
Very well.
I'm gonna give that to the Civic Fund.
Thank you, sir. Hopefully within 2 weeks, the lighting will be done.
Excellent, excellent. And you know, we've done this before, but I'm gonna do it again. I want to thank the Southwick Civic Fund, and I put it in the town report that I wrote for the board, you know, thanking the 250 committee for their donation, Tynick Landscaping, the Southwick Rotary, Southwick Lions. And now I should amend it and put in the American Legion, also Southwick American Legion. I'd like to amend that immediately to reflect that. And all the other people that donated their time and monetary donations, that thing looks beautiful. And that's right in the heart of our community, and it looks beautiful. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Here we go. We're gonna wrap this up so that we can get everybody out of here before this storm hits. And everybody's.
It's not a planning board meeting.
Right, make sure the record, we change, David to Dan on, make sure that gets changed. Okay, we're on to the action.
Good thing you didn't have a twin brother.
I know it.
We have one cop on the force who's already a twin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to the goals and objectives. Okay. We went over this at our last meeting. Are there any things that people want, and we're not limited to just tonight, you know, this is something that we review on a regular basis. is there anything that anybody sees that they'd like to add tonight or? Yes.
I have
Mr.
two
Mobley.
things I'd like to add or change. Number 5,
Number 5,
I'd like to just change that to municipal fiber.
municipal fiber.
And we've done the survey, we presented the survey, I mean. And we've gone to one town meeting article. And we need to present, so the items I'd like to add is a second warrant article. And develop the funding model. And a third bullet would be implementation
Okay,
for this year.
okay,
And then on number 7, promote volunteer opportunities and reappointments. Seems timely. I'd like to strike that with visiting the boards and committees, because we did that last year.
Yep.
But I'd like to add 2 bullets of improve, I'll give this to you, so, improve application process and review current. I can't even read my own writing, review current members with chairs.
okay.
Kind of have a quick check to make sure that we've got all our ducks in a row.
And I was told tonight that Michelle Hill in the software, everything's been brought up to date so that we shouldn't have any snafus. At least that's the reason why we bought the software.
Correct. And if you go on I have it, but I went on there and made a list, which I can share for anyone, but I made a list of all of the appointments that are expiring June 30th
Okay,
by board, by commission, by et cetera.
okay, good.
But anyone can do that by just going onto that website, and then you just set the date, say 90 days from now or 120 days from now, and it'll show you all the expiring spots. By the way, there is one in March. I know you're gonna ask me, Aaron.
I'm gonna ask you who.
I believe it's the, I don't wanna get the term wrong, but it's,
Animal inspector.
no, those are employees. I mean, it's the election people.
Oh, Board of Registrars.
The board of registrars, thank you. Those 2 spots come up, I think, March 25th.
All right. So let's,
Caught my eye.
why don't we reach out to Michelle Hill? Because she'd be the person to talk to, make sure who the 2 people are and whether or not they're interested in continuing. Or if we can also post it, you know. All right,
Just one. It's just a seat currently held by Shirley Morris,
okay. So it's just one opening.
and it's the 31st.
Okay. You all set, Doug?
Yeah, I give that to you.
Okay, Jason?
If you can read my writing, if I can't, well,
As far as
Recall if I
adding,
can read yours.
is it just the appropriate form or
Yeah,
should I
sure.
pass it across?
Yeah.
One of the things that strikes me with our, our website is getting better. I would like to see that get a little bit better. I don't think we should have to search for boards and meetings and agendas. It's a little more, I'd like to see it made a little more user friendly. It's getting there. Also, one of the things I came up with is we've got the master plan going through. That's got to be implemented, and if it is, I think we really need to, from that, identify the priorities and focus on where to implement and what's the most obtainable from that. One of the things I thought of as I was sitting in the visioning session from this week was a lot of talk was about the space and agricultural and other things came up. One of the things I'd like to see is identify the different kinds of real estate and what we'd like to see here in town. And honestly, I'd like to develop a retail corridor. Our downtown's a little awkward. It's kind of segmented. I'd like to see it flow a little bit better. And you have some safety issues with around Summer House and I'd like to see some additional sidewalks put in. One of the other things, I don't know if this is something we can do or, because I know the school is a completely different entity. I've seen some towns, what they've done is they've done looked into a feasibility of looking into, like the buildings maintenance and utilities, doing like a feasibility of a community compact. Maybe to kind of like what the state did with DOT and Turnpike Authority. Consolidate, so across the board. Again, I don't know if that's something we can do with the school department. But that's one of the things I came up, and other than that, you know, we already talked about the green community. I'm working on the aggregation, the flag policy. I've got different aspects of I've borrowed from other towns. And I'll have that pretty much to give to you guys for the next week. And that's pretty much what I came up with for now. I know you said it's a work in progress, so.
Yeah, let's face it, we're not gonna do everything
No,
in one night.
you can have a wish
It's-
list, though.
It's, and you, but if it's there, you can look at it
Yep.
and see, okay. You know, like sidewalks, we've been working on sidewalks and, we got that big project that's gonna happen on Powder Mill Road now. Hopefully that's gonna tie in, to the rail trails, to downtown areas. Randy just sent a letter to Mass DOT, concerning speed limits on College Highway, the markings on College Highway. We've asked them in the past about sidewalks, or I shouldn't say sidewalk, crosswalks.
Crosswalks, yeah.
They're,
That's it.
they're not in favor of that. But there's no
Interesting, they
reason
go
why,
up everywhere else. It
but-
seems they go up so
Right.
easy everywhere.
but it's unfortunately, College Highway is a state highway.
Yeah, I'm aware of
And
that.
it's a different animal. But now with the law changed, we can ask them to do different things. Doesn't mean they're going to do it, but we can ask them. We have that right. And we will continue. Because it's difficult when your main
Yeah.
street is a state highway.
Yeah,
And their goal is to get vehicles through it as quickly as possible.
exactly.
And that's different from
With
our
as little
goal.
spending as possible.
Right, right. So, certainly the idea is great. It's just
It's
continue
something
to,
I've dealt with for years, obviously.
yeah,
Over across the border.
Yep.
And I do have a little bit of a pipeline.
Yeah.
With a few people over there. I mean, not that they're not the type of people that can make those decisions, but you know, at least you get somebody's ear you can bend. So,
yeah, it's, you know, it's an ongoing process. We've
it's
made
not a lot
many,
that you need, but there's a couple spots that, and I'm sure you're well aware of where they
Yeah.
are,
yep,
that just,
absolutely,
they're scary,
right.
especially the
It's
blind hill.
the Blind Hill and now, you know, we got a little situation, because of, one of our businesses being successful.
Huh?
Um,
I drive by
Yeah.
that. from home from work.
that, I God forbid that there's an accident. But we endeavor to persevere.
I also think that to that point and to a couple, you know, Jason, I think the website one's a great one. I think that there's a lot of newer ways to skin that cat. That website's probably getting a little long in the tooth, though. We are still learning some things about it on how we can continue to improve.
I've seen just in the time I've been here, it's gotten a
Yeah.
little bit easier to maneuver.
And frankly, I've even learned, you know, how to do the surveys, how to do different things and, you know, some citizen engagement stuff on there that I didn't know that we could do, that we had done using different setups that we actually already had the ability.
Well, that's
I mean, there's certainly prettier ones out there, you know, that are using, you know, WordPress and all this other. But it's something we should put on the radar. I agree. And then on the master plan piece, the only thing I'd like to add is I think that they're going to, I'm almost certain they will have a master plan implementation committee that comes out of the master plan committee that is gonna kind of bird dog the findings from the master plan and start directing them at different boards and commissions and, you know, a retail corridor or you know, different changes to zoning or different changes to other bylaws or rules or regulations that need to happen in order to facilitate what comes from the master plan is gonna come from there. So it's gonna, I think this board is gonna have some things come to it out of the master plan that are gonna be important to implement or to review, at least to bring up in front of the select board, but that master plan implementation and something like a retail corridor or something like that, you know, that to me, comes right to the planning board. I mean, and it's great if you want to champion it and then but that's the venue I think that it needs to
Yeah.
come to. Because that was actually,
Figure out what we-
something like
yeah.
that was in the last master plan, right? But in a different form, but kind of the idea, they did, and again, I know it's gonna snow, but they have passed some bylaws in town about mixed use and allowing retail down, residents up, and there's places you could have that today. But it would be great to have somebody want to shepherd that and try to drive at it and, you know, get a developer to come in that actually wants to do it.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge. And frankly, from the last master plan, the biggest pushback on that, you know, new town center is the fact is College Highway runs right through the center of town. That property's been developed. People own that property. It has a value. And if you say, oh, by the way, we're moving town center to here, that's a direct taking, if you will, from the valuation of those properties. So,
Definitely not looking.
no, I get it. I'm just trying to, we can chat more offline, but it's just because it's a great discussion to have, just philosophically
Yeah.
and how to do it. But thank you.
All right, we're gonna move along.
Sorry.
The next is select board to authorize the opioid settlement. Nadine, you've reviewed those documents?
Yes, I just noted the participation deadline and how to file,
Okay.
so.
Yeah,
And-
these are required for us to submit this by a certain date. So we'll be
Okay.
able to be a party along with all the other communities that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts addressed through this lawsuit against all of these different companies. So now you've already signed one or two of these in the past,
Correct.
other companies. So now these are going after the entities that have served as pharmacies that distributed those drugs.
Okay, is it just a motion for the chair to sign? I only see, and most of them just have.
I'll make a motion to authorize the chair to sign these.
Need a second?
I will make that motion, but I wanted to bring up, it was brought to my attention. Some of our constituents reached out and they want to know what this is all about. I'm aware of what it's all about. They'd like to know what exactly we're getting involved in here.
Mhm.
Mr. Steinhardt, you want to go through the history of this?
Well, I mean, there was a big lawsuits in the past of the opioids, and now a bunch of the attorneys generals across the United States filed suits against these different companies because they wanted to, go through the legal process to see what needed to be corrected and what monies and so forth, because this issue really, did a lot of damage to a lot of people's families, and the drugs and the police and fire and EMS responses. I mean, we've had budget hearings for the last couple of years where you've had the police department, the fire department talk about their service levels, and some of them have to do with responding to these, what these drugs have done to people and how they were easily able to access them. So, and of course, there's been multi-billion-dollar suits brought against the manufacturers of these pills. And, there's plenty of information on it. If somebody wants to
I'm
see
actually
what
looking
the
for
settlement
it.
agreements look like. I mean, Jason, that's got quite a detailed, document that the board is looking at that talks about what happened.
Yep. And then so people can hear this out in the public, there is a mass.gov. You can go on to frequently asked questions about the Attorney General's statewide opioid settlements, and it describes it even more in detail. So-
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and
we
that
got a
didn't,
motion-
and that, this course, of course, just didn't happen in the state of Massachusetts. This is countrywide.
Yes,
All right, we have a motion made. I need a
and
second.
I will second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Okay, Chief, I apologize. I didn't see you're also listed down here under chair mail. And rather than have you sit there for an hour, would you like to come and address your request for a supplement appropriation of $15,000 for overtime?
So, yeah, you see my letters addressed to you and hopefully support from the finance committee. Generally, it seems as though our overtime budget, you're familiar with our staffing right now, we're 3 people out. We also had a extended military leave as well that impacted our shift coverage. So, last year's budget, my forecast, I had asked for 30,000 in overtime increase and, we decided to go with 15 and then revisit it. As here we are revisiting it. So that's.
You were correct.
Yep,
You were
so,
correct.
but mainly it is just where our staffing levels are right now is really took a big toll on filling our overtime.
Well, I want to commend you for how well you've done with your staff shortage, you know, and
I mean, it's
and
a
keeping the
testament.
request just down
Yeah,
to this.
It's a testament to the guys for
Yeah.
sure. They're really, step up and some of them maybe at times working too much. And that's what we're trying to kind of find a happy medium there so that we're not overworking our people. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at.
Appreciate the command staff too, stepped up a couple times and
Yeah.
I've seen Sergeant Cook out and about. Picking up shifts and stepping in. And this has been unprecedented, the number of
Yeah,
people we've had
never
out
seen
and to maintain the coverage and the level of safety that for the people of Southwick, it's much appreciated. I know it doesn't get said often enough, so thank you. And
No,
please,
thank you.
please thank the
Sure.
men and women. as
We
well.
all appreciate that.
So I need a motion if there's no more questions or comments.
I just wanted, same thing. Chief, commend you. I know exactly what you're dealing with. Not to the level you guys are dealing with. It's happened to us over the years too. Or to the department in which I work. And, I know it's something you need. It's never gonna go away.
So, Mr. Chairman, in terms of acting on this request, you have two options. You can have it put into the form of a finance committee reserve transfer request, or you can just wait and address the issue at the special before the annual. So I don't think the chief, I don't think he cares either way, right, Bob? I think
No,
as
we
long as it gets
did
addressed.
last year too. We waited till town meeting.
Yeah,
And we had other salary line items that helped carry us through. If whatever's easiest logistically for you, I guess, is probably the best.
2 months. Well, 2.5 months.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be at the end of the fiscal year at that
Yeah.
stage. And I mean, we weren't nearly as hurting last year as we are this year.
Well,
Do it as a reserve.
yeah.
Given
I-
where the situation.
Right, I mean, that's right, absolutely. I think that would be the smarter move. We'll see what the finance
Okay.
committee says, but I'd accept a motion to request a reserve transfer.
So moved.
Seconded,
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye?
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron,
Okay, before you go,
yes,
since and Lieutenant Banish also, we had and I'm gonna move to old business to North Pond. We had that meeting today with the state and conservation and the CAO was there, the assistant CAO was there. So I thought it was a very productive meeting. I think we have a good game plan. I guess nobody's gonna guarantee everything's gonna be perfect. But I think we're gonna be able to address some of the situations that developed last year.
absolutely. No, I think the fact that the state was, quite pleased with the way that we all are working. Apparently, it's not common for them to be working with municipalities in the way that we put this plan together, but again, I think the enforcement and and having people down there and working with the people and educating them on really how the property is supposed to be utilized for passive recreation, I think that'll go a long way.
Right. And we will be addressing some of the financial things during the budget process. I.e. if in fact they take some of the recommendations from the state of doing plantings, especially in areas of erosion. There's also things that the DPW has agreed to help out with. They have done some work and they state is allowing them to do some additional things to help protect the property and to address erosion. So it's again, not to be repetitive, I thought it was a very positive meeting. I think no one's trying to hurt anybody. Everybody is just trying to fulfill our obligation as a community. That's a conservation area. we agreed to certain terms and we have to fulfill those terms. So,
I agree.
all right. Lieutenant, any comments or?
No, I think we're in a better spot than we were, 6-8 months ago, so it's a negative thing.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Gentlemen, go home.
Thank you.
All right, we're back to the action. The next thing is to approve the Select Board Town Report 2022. Again, I'd like to amend that paragraph where I was giving thank you to people that worked on the town common to reflect the very generous donation from the American Legion.
So we could insert after the Rotary Club wording, American Legion Post 338, Mr. Chairman.
Perfect. All right, I need a motion.
Some other minor edits. I can just
Okay.
give them, they're minor. So I
Right.
just give them to Rob.
Yes,
but with
after.
that, So move.
That's so moved. Got a second?
Second,
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye?
Doug Mogul, aye.
Okay,
Jason Peron, aye.
and when it's done, we'll read it aloud. How's that? Okay, acknowledge the resignation letter from Charles Brett Colson II from the Ag Committee. Okay, so we're acknowledging that. And we're looking into appointment process. I mean, we've had some applications, but we're just gonna get clarification before we do anything, correct? Is that,
That is correct, Mr.
all right? Mr. Moglen is in charge of that, making sure everything is done properly. And he's working with town council and Michelle Hill. Okay, the next is to approve the sale, recommended sale by DPW Director Randy Brown of selling our old hot box, which we're no longer using, to the town of Warren for $1,000.
So move.
Seconded,
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Okay. Okay. We've already reviewed and discussed the full-time officer. All right, next is to authorize the chairman CAO to secure fiscal 24 natural gas bid through Lower Pioneer Valley Collaborative for direct energy. Carl, you wanna?
Yep, this is the time of the year to do that. So working with Paul Schroeder, who is with the Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative. We're looking at some much more favorable prices than what we have been getting right now because of the nature of the market swings. So we're going to be able to probably be almost $5 less per decatherm from the current fiscal rate to the next year one that we're going to do. So this is something that Paul had suggested that we were able to act on and go for 36 months because a lot of your supply of natural gas is actually being shipped out of the country to Europe.
All right, and that's good positive news. Every once in a while, we get some positive news and that's a good one. Do I need a motion?
So moved to authorize the chair to negotiate that.
Seconded,
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Okay.
Did I write the CAO, right? I said CAO or chair? I meant the CAO
CAO and chair.
and chair, correct.
Okay. All right, next thing that I have is the special permit for Southwick American Legion Post 338. This is the one between us and Mr. Johnson.
Yep, this is allows the races to go on. So and as you can see, what is expiring was the last 3 years, and of course they need to have these the license so that they can go to the events promoters and lock things in for a number of years ahead of time. And of course, all of these permits have the conditions that are assigned to them that were developed a number of years ago. That will discuss the number of events. So whatever the number of events are that you just authorized in the last couple of weeks, that'll be updated by Robin and myself to be reflected in the permit language. And then, of course, it also requires them to work with our police, fire, emergency management, and Board of Health to put on all the events and carry all the necessary insurances. So it's got quite a few. In fact, there's so many conditions on the permit or the license, you can see how just small the print is.
Right. No, I think it's been great working with Mr. Johnson. They run, I think, a fantastic program over there. You notice the first couple of years we were in the COVID, so we gave a break. Year 3, it went to 1,500, and that would be what I would be suggesting. That the rate be, that it go back to the 1,500 for per year. In a 3-year term. You know, like I was on the phone to Mr. Johnson today, and like he was saying, you know, they're already working on next year. You know, and the fact that we're going to be nationally televised on NBC brings Southwick to the forefront, so. And there definitely is an economic spin-off from what he does over there.
As someone that raced motocross and understands the business completely, a 3-year, like you said, they're probably working past that for different events they're gonna bring in, so.
Right. Anyways, that's my recommendation.
One of us has to be designated to go and negotiate this with the Legion, correct?
No, this is with Mr. Johnson.
With Mr.
Yeah,
Johnson?
this is for the license for the, you know, the races and all that for the year. Doug, what you're talking about is the separate land license where they have a license to use some municipal property that's abuts the schools. That's a different arrangement. And that document is still good for the next 2 years because that was renewed last year.
Oh, good, because I can finally go back to the Legion and show my face. So you need a motion for this special permit at 1,500? So moved.
For 3 years.
Per year, per year.
Per year. For
Right, with the
3 years.
conditions updated with the race schedule that you approved a few weeks ago.
Correct. That would be the motion.
So moved.
And I will second the motion.
Okay, roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron,
Okay.
aye.
Okay, approve the first requisition for the town hall roof replacement of $162,236.25. The clerk went down and verified all the material that was purchased, and
Yep.
it is being properly stored.
He counted every shingle.
He counted every gosh darn
Well,
shingle.
they're not really shingles, they're sections of PVC roofs.
I know, we're having a little levity here. It's
Okay,
it's
It's
no
gonna snow, Carl.
snowbound theater, okay?
yeah. So, but no, everything's been delivered and stored, and then that fee also covers their bonds and their other startup costs for the contract.
Is that, do you need a motion or is that just, are we?
Yes.
Yeah, make the motion.
To approve giving them a check for $162,236.25 per our agreement.
So
Yeah,
moved.
because you're,
And I will second.
All in favor, will call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Every shingle. Okay. Next is 72 Mort Vining Road, the chapter 61A withdrawal status. We held up on this because Mr. Mogul wanted to make sure to give everybody one more opportunity. And I read an email from
Bert Hanson.
Bert Hanson, who's chairman of the Ag Committee, but he is also a neighbor up there. And his legal opinion is that the 30-day deadline was already expired anyways. But so you need a motion. Waive our rights.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second the motion.
Okay, roll call vote. Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Okay. All right, we did the chief of police And now we have, accept a library donation amount of $100 to the library gift account from Janet and Sean Kelly in memory of Irene Wolf. Need a motion?
So move.
Seconded.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Okay. We're going to new business. Designate a select board member for the Iron Man event planning meeting, of course, planning with the Southwick Police Department. And we have our contact, Lieutenant Banish here, who has been attending and keeping us informed. And you are telling us that the chief elected officials have been attending. They have. So
With
you,
the exception of Granville, the mayors from Agawam, West Springfield, Westfield, they've all been at least the last meeting I went to.
okay. And what, how many meetings are we talking about?
They've had one in person.
Yep.
They had a Zoom meeting prior to that. They're having an additional one coming up. That's what it's gonna deal with. I think the complete course and what we're gonna need for detailing. So
Okay. In-person meeting?
in person in Springfield to be determined on location.
All right, I'll volunteer to represent the board unless somebody else wants to go over and deal with our fellow chief elected officers.
No objection.
Okay,
I will. I have no problem with that.
By the way, this is a big deal. This Iron Man thing is
It
no
is, it
joke,
is,
right?
it
This is a worldwide deal. I looked at it a little bit this
Mhm.
weekend. So I had heard about it and we were, at first it was, there was mention of it and then it might touch Southwick, but it's gonna spend a lot of time in Southwick and there's gonna be a lot of people, I think. This is, people travel all over the world to do these.
right. Right. All right, so Rhett, keep me informed of when the meeting is and I'll be there. All right,
You doing it?
No, where my mother lives, there's an Iron Man. And it's amazing where he travels.
Oh, yeah.
there.
I knew there was a former planning board member's husband used to do them all over the world. Went to Hawaii to do one, I
Yeah.
think, and a couple other places. Yeah, big deal. That's great for the town, great for the area.
My dentist does it.
Great.
Okay.
I'll be waving as they go by, I assure you.
You're right. New business, Mr. Steinhardt.
Yes, so, Mr. Chairman, I met with the Park and Rec designee in Levesque Associates and some other department heads regarding the water spray park project. So we had a very good meeting about just trying to look at all the details of that and going through what had been submitted so far through the CPC article and application and so forth. And it became evident that there were going to be additional services that were going to be necessary by Levesque Associates that were not going to be pro bono like the first phase. So they're working on a budget number through Levesque's firm to accommodate that phase two, and which would be like bidding and oversight and interfacing with different state agencies and so forth that relate to the siting of a park and that type of a location and what its needs are. And this is all important because we were just trying to fine tune what we have to do for a operating budget, which would most likely come into play in June of 2024. So we need to make sure we accommodate for that. We build it into the budget document, and that, it'll have a prorated number. But we are very fortunate, Mr. Brown, Mr. Hibbert, and some other individuals and myself met with the Park and Rec staff and their designated board members and Mr. Levesque. And so that's, you'll see another meeting take place through the CPC, and there'll be an amended number, probably to amend the current $269,000 application that was approved. Not a big deal, but we just need to address a few other things. And that'll be fine.
Anything else, Carl?
Not under new business, sir.
Mr. Mogul?
Not under new business, sir.
Nor I, sir.
Okay.
Gonna snow.
The only thing that, under new business, I'd like to, see if the board would, support a proclamation, of International Women's Day on, March 8th. As a, person that has a wife, 2 daughters and 2 granddaughters, I see some of the things that are happening, particularly not in our country, but in other countries. And I think it would be a good thing to support this. There's a lot of issues out there, and it's very troubling. So if this board would support it, we can do up a proclamation for the next meeting.
No objection.
None whatsoever.
Okay. All right. That's the only thing I had under new business. We're going to old business. We already covered North Pond. Very productive meeting today. I think we have a good plan of action. Not guaranteeing that it's going to resolve all the challenges that we faced last year, but we're going to go forward. The sewer IMA, we're working with the attorneys right now. Randy Brown came up with some great statistics that we've given to Westfield, and we're waiting to hear back on that.
Right, Mr. Chairman, I believe town council has sent or is going to send the latest revised draft that we had created to reflect the the current situation, as well as clean up all the old language that's not needed because the document is 20 years old.
Correct.
So that's underway or has been done. And again, that's one of the action items that Ben had on his list.
Right. And let's face it, the biggest hurdle is going to be the dollars and cents, and hopefully we can come to something agreeable for both communities. Marijuana dispensary,
Mr. Chairman, there was an email that came from the town attorney after 5:30 before this meeting that I have not had a time to review, but I would like the board authorization to continue to negotiate that community host agreement with the Hudson Drive facility.
Okay. I don't have
Skip ahead one item.
No, I,
Doug's kind of our expert on
yes,
that.
he had, when he came in, I almost felt bad that if he'd stuck around, it's on there.
Yeah. All right, so Doug, you're the point person on that. When I talked to Mr. Delatorre this afternoon, when he called me, I said, as far as I know, it was still the lawyers going back and forth.
4-6.
And he was under the impression we were signing something tonight, and I said, we don't have any document to sign, so.
Then I'm not gonna rush something like that that's been held up at the attorney for months and before that a year, so no harm taking the time to read it and act
Okay,
appropriately.
so you're the point person on that. Carl, 74 College Highway.
Yeah,
Update.
I know we've been doing some emails back and forth with them, and Calix, Mr. Fontaine had sent me an email stating that they had some sort of deal going up and that was going to be lined up and certain things were going to be happening at a certain time. But the individuals that had come into your meeting previously and the ones that you and I had spoken to Russ as a follow-up said that that deal is not with them. So I need to find out from them, well, who is this deal with? And I've asked them to put this on their letterhead so that we can have an update on this. So I'd like to know who this other company is, because if there's another company that's coming into play on this particular location to get this project moving, then we should also want to meet with them.
Correct.
They're also gonna run into special permit issues, even with the tolling with COVID and everything else, they're gonna run out of runway on that permit.
Correct.
That is correct. And then there's the other issue about whether or not the HCA that, that they had negotiated in the past, whether or not that's going to be valid anymore, Doug, because of the new Cannabis Control Commission's administrative rulemaking.
All right. But they've contacted us, we've asked for something in writing, and we'll
Right.
wait and see what happens.
Right, and I'm gonna remind them again of the need to get it to us.
Okay. Opening on the Southwick Housing Authority, if we could reach out to Jason Grunwald,
Mhm.
and I don't know what the case was. But maybe there was a misunderstanding because we had postponed, but to see if he wants to come into our next meeting so that we can. Mhm. Yeah. All right. Speed limits on Deer Run. Mr. Chubb, that's your neighborhood, things improving at all, or?
You know, there was a visual sign that was put up since taken down, so I'm not sure what the next step is.
Okay.
Part of our grand scheme, but we can't talk about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not gonna put the lieutenant on the spot, you know? But we will endeavor to persevere.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
Electricity. Jason?
That sample warrant article is across the board, and it's just, I'm just waiting to present it here for acceptance.
Okay. Carl, I saw in the newspaper, we've posted for the Green West Road acceptance. Is that at our next meeting?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chairman. You have a hearing next week with the Public Works and Planning Board. The petitioner is the developer, so that is next week, March 6th.
Is that the first thing on the agenda?
I don't have, I think it's like 6:05 or something like that,
Okay.
6:10. So yeah, it's gonna
So
be.
I'm
one
gonna
of the early-
suggest that we start off in the auditorium and then move back to this room after that. If you could set that up, please.
Okay.
No. Flag policy, you're working on that. I got some stuff too. you know,
Okay.
So we can blend it together maybe.
Sounds good.
Did I send an email to somebody about that?
Yes, you sent it.
Did I send it to you
yeah.
instead of you?
Yeah, I think you sent it to me instead of.
Can you
Thanks.
send it to him? Sorry about that.
I won't hold it against you.
But,
There was no commentary. It was just an article I had read.
Yeah, I've
that
kind of,
Someone else was doing.
as I said, I've kind of borrowed from about 3 different communities,
yeah,
but I think we're gonna err on the side of caution.
yeah, I think we can come up with a reasonable solution that will meet the needs of the Attorney General.
The biggest thing that I came up with that is the town owned banners are also part of that. So we can't just let any specific group, so we're gonna have to talk about that as well,
Right.
on the polls.
Yeah, yeah, well, with the cost of the banners, you know, they're probably, anything we can do. I mean, we did it for the 250th and they were individual. But that was very costly, but it looked beautiful for the 250th. Most communities, do the same type of banner. Although, we did look at, the ones that reflect, supporting our military and, former military,
The veteran ones like
Right.
East Hampton has a lot of them.
right,
Yeah.
right, where those are individual, you know, and paid for by the families and
Mhm.
things like that, so. Yeah, so we want to be careful with that, and that was one of the questions that came up, I think, to the attorneys when we were at that meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and I did find it.
Yeah, so, okay, Mr. Steinhardt, any other old business?
No, sir.
Mr. Moglen, any old business?
I'll be quick. Mr. Steinhardt and Nadine and I met with Westfield Gas and Electric, Whip City Fiber last week at Town Hall. We're looking at installing a circuit here in Town Hall. And we're also looking to leverage that circuit to be able to place a PC out here for people to try out and use the Whip City product as we go down this path. So that'll be hopefully done in short order. To that end, we have a warrant article that's going on to the town meeting. Annual town meeting would be the second of 2 of the warrant articles needed for us to form a municipal light plant. And it's my suggestion that at this time, without a lot of cost or risk. That the board authorized the CAO and myself to file with Verizon and Eversource to have the town of Southwick be an attachee to the polls through the town of Southwick. And to file the requisite applications and post the required bonds as necessary. That could be a 9 to 10 month process. So even if we get approval in May to proceed, that would be just a long pole in the tent. So if we move that barricade back a little bit and start those applications now, it'll move us a little bit further down the road, should town meeting vote to authorize us to form an MLP in May.
Making that a form of a motion.
I'm asking to be authorized. Someone will make a motion.
I will make that motion.
Thank you.
I will second that motion.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Okay, you got authorization.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll skip the master plan update. Iron Man's out of the bag. And lastly, I did meet with the Board of Assessors before this meeting. They, I think, are the last board that is not meeting in a hybrid fashion yet. And they seem supportive. They were going to take it and discuss it offline and come back to me what resources or whatever they would need to be able to do that.
Good.
That's it.
all right, Jason.
I've touched base on all my old, not to, I didn't have anything new, you forgot me,
Okay.
so
That's right.
that's okay. But we, like I said, we've touched on pretty much flag policy, the aggregation and the marijuana or cannabis.
Okay. All right, so we've conducted all our business. I don't believe there's any need for an executive session tonight. I want everybody home safe before the blizzard of
Milk and eggs. Milk and eggs.
2023. Milk and eggs, bread. We'll run on the store. All right, so motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
All right, good night. We'll see
Good night.
everybody next week.
Good night.